So I was born in San Antonio in 1988. I had a pretty decent early childhood. My parents both worked. My dad worked on airplanes at Kelly Air Force Base. My mom was a middle school secretary. We were pretty close until I would say I was about 6. I found out my parents were going to get a divorce, and I went to church, but I didn't really believe in God. I just went because that's what I was supposed to do. So one morning I wake up and my dad and a police officer arrive on my bed, and they tell me my mom committed suicide. I was I didn't know what to think. I thought she went away and she'd be back. I didn't really know, and that was the start of pretty rough childhood for me. I lost faith in everyone in the world, and I couldn't believe that my mom was gone. But I still had my dad. Shortly after, my dad was smoking crack. I was in and out of drug houses with him. My dad was like the person I wanted to be with all the time, but he neglected me for crack, and no matter what he did, I still was right there by his side. I would visit him every weekend when he was in prison. It was like an hour drive. All I wanted to do was go see him. That was like the highlight of my weekend. I still didn't enjoy going to jail. I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. It was just a really tough time. I was lost and I was looking for answers. Same friend that introduced me to cocaine introduced me to heroin, and I snorted it for the first time when I was probably 18. And within 2 weeks, I had dropped out of high school my third sophomore year because I didn't want to go to school, and I left home, and I probably spent a good amount of money trying to end my life. I went to rehab for the first time when I was 18, and I got out. I took no advice. I didn't work any steps. I didn't get a sponsor. I just kept going back to heroin, and this continued for maybe 15 years. One of those times I got out of rehab, there was a tornado in Joplin, Missouri. My stepmom said her cousin was a pastor, and I was like, well, you have a lot of cousins. Why would I care if he's a pastor? Why would I want to go do this? And they're like, just come. You have nowhere else to stay. And I was like, all right, that makes sense. So we drove to Joplin, Missouri, and for the first time I met some cousins that I had never met before. And my first interaction with my cousin, I'm in the bathroom, and he walks in with his little bleach bottle, and he's like, here, we got to clean this bathroom. And I'm like, are you a pastor or a janitor? And he laughed, and I didn't understand at that time, but I understand now that, that was him serving God, and I can respect that. And I had a really good time there, and I remember going out and doing the tornado work with, Jay and Pastor Nick and Ruben, that I really didn't want to do drugs, and that stuck in my mind. But when I got back, I started hanging out with the wrong crowds again, and around that same time I bought a house, and I tried to stay far away from my family as I could. And I can remember the biggest eye-opening moment of my life. My friend invited somebody over and robbed them, and I'm looking out my front door, and there's 6 cops with AR-15s pointed at my front door, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? This is not working. And I cried out to God, I think for the first time, and I was like, God, please get me out of this. And a couple days later, my house got raided, and I ended up in jail. And when I went to court this time, the judge wasn't so forgiving. He said, I'm not gonna let you back out. You're gonna do your time. And it was the week before Thanksgiving. So, I did Thanksgiving, I did Christmas, I did New Year's of 2017 in jail. And I was searching, I wanted something different. And my dad was like, what are you gonna do when you get out of here? And I was like, well, I told him something, but I was really lying. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I wanna being clean in jail is one thing, but I just didn't know how I was gonna get out of jail and stay clean. And my dad was like, well, maybe you should go to rehab somewhere else. And I sat there and thought, and I was like, he sent me some brochures, and I was thinking, and I was like, I know about Thorn Creek. I know about Thornton, Colorado. Maybe I could give that a shot. I'm looking for some freedom, and I have a cousin that's a pastor, and everybody's always telling me I need to get to know Jesus. And I was like, I don't know about this Jesus guy, but I'm gonna give it a try. I told my dad, let's check out some rehabs in Denver. And he's like, well, when you're getting out on January 31st, February, like 3 days later, a couple days after the Super Bowl, there's a men's retreat there. So I drove up to Colorado, I went to men's retreat, and men's retreat was great. I remember the soul walk. We had to write something down that was holding us back from our relationship with God and throw it in the fire. I didn't think there's any way in the world an addict like me, that Jesus was gonna help an addict like me stay clean. I had a real feeling of gratitude and I felt freedom. I had never felt that before. Like I hadn't thought about drugs. I hadn't wanted to do drugs, and for me that was not normal. So I signed up for a 90-day program in Arvada, and I went to the one in Arvada because it was closest to my cousin. He said he'd come visit me. It was tough. I've been to rehab before, but I remember, a week went by, 2 weeks went by, I kept asking the therapist, I just want to go to Thorn Creek. And they're like, you got to be here for more than 30 days. We got to move you to different levels of treatment. And I was like, cool, I just kept asking, I want to go to Thorn Creek, I want to go to Thorn Creek. And the more and more I stayed there, I felt freedom. Even being clean for just like 90 days was amazing, because I've been clean 90 days before, but I never had what I had when doing it with God. I've been clean as of today. It's been 18 months and a week, and I've never been happier in my life. I've never seen my family happier. Like, Jesus has done something for me that nothing else could, not drugs, not women, not even money. Like, I have everything I want today in my life, and I never would have thought that getting to know Jesus would give me everything I want, but it's made me okay with the person I am, with what's happened to me in the past, because I owe a lot of my life today to Thorn Creek Church and to God. If you just put all your faith in Jesus and you get out of the way and let Him do the work, anything is possible.